Our movie today begins with a little boy named Owen, who is at his school and starts telling us about himself, saying that he likes his classmate Sally, and that he always wished to talk to her, but was afraid she might embarrass him and not reply. He takes out his notebook, where he writes down everything he is afraid of, and then we discover that Owen is afraid of almost everything in his life. He continues and says that he draws in that notebook all the bad scenarios that could happen to him, like being afraid to go to the school bathroom because it might break and flood the whole school, or being afraid to raise his hand when the teacher asks a question in class because his answer might be wrong and then all the students would laugh at him. Because of that, Owen decides never to raise his hand to answer, even if he's sure of the answer. After that, Owen goes to his locker and meets his bully classmate named Richie. Then Owen continues his story and says that Richie is one of the things he fears most because he's mean and could hit him. Owen also says that even if he hit Richie back, Richie could get hurt or die, and then the police would come arrest him and put him in jail. So, Owen decides never to respond to Richie's bullying no matter what happens. Later, Owen goes back to class where the teacher tells them that tomorrow they will go on a trip to the observatory, and that they must all go on this trip to see the planets. At that moment, Owen imagines all the scary scenarios that could happen on this trip, like a cosmic disaster, making the planets crash into each other and killing them all. Or that his hand might accidentally touch the hand of the girl sitting next to him while watching the planets. And then all the students would laugh at him. That's why Owen decides not to go on this trip and tells the teacher that he can't come because his parents don't even believe space exists and that they'll definitely stop him from going. At the end of the school day, Owen goes home and continues his story, saying that one of the things he fears most is that one day he might return from school to find his parents decided to leave him alone and abandon the house. After a while, we see Owen's mother, who is very happy when he returns from school, telling him that she made him his favorite food. She also tells him she found the paper for the observatory trip that parents are supposed to sign so their kids can go. At that moment, Owen's mother realizes he was hiding this paper because he was scared of going on the trip. She and Owen's father talk with him, telling him that he must go on this trip and not let fear control his life. They try to convince him that it's good to be cautious, but if he lets it get too big, it will ruin his life. At night, Owen sits with his parents watching TV, and when it gets late, he goes to his room to sleep. He asks his parents to leave the door open because he's afraid of the dark. They agree, leave the door open, and go. Owen then turns on all the lights around him so he can sleep. But despite all that, he's still scared. Before Owen falls asleep, all the lights suddenly go out. The atmosphere changes, and it begins to rain with thunder and lightning. Owen starts imagining strange shapes around him. Suddenly, a strange, mysterious being appears in Owen's room, introducing himself as the creature of darkness, named Dark. Owen becomes very scared and doesn't know what to do. Dark tells Owen that many humans are afraid of the dark, especially children. But among them all, Owen is the one who screams the most at night and bothers him daily. That's why Dark decided to come to him personally to prove that darkness isn't as bad as he thinks. But Owen stays frightened, trying to hide anywhere. Dark tells him the only solution to his fear is to come with him on a night journey to see how he works. Dark continues, telling Owen that after this trip, he'll realize darkness isn't scary at all. Owen refuses the idea at first, still afraid, but Dark keeps trying to convince him that this night will change his life, proving there's nothing worth fearing. He says if Owen can overcome his greatest fear, the dark, he'll be able to overcome anything else he fears. Owen becomes a bit encouraged, and although still hesitant, he finally agrees. Dark flies, taking Owen with him, and their journey begins, traveling all around Earth. Wherever they pass, darkness spreads. Then another being appears, called Daylight, flying at the same time to light other places. Owen is amazed, but still scared, asking Dark to let him return home. Dark tells him they are too far from his house, and he won't be able to get back alone. He asks Owen to stay with him until the journey ends so he can meet his night creature friends. They go to meet Dark's friends, and Owen gets introduced to the night beings: sleep, insomnia, silence, disturbing noises, and sweet dreams. Dark tells Owen that these are the 5 night creatures who help him with his work, each responsible for something. Sweet Dreams enters, very upset, saying Dark isn't allowed to bring a human and show him their world, as this could disrupt their work and cause people's biological systems to collapse. Dark pleads with her to let Owen stay for just 1 night, promising he won't bother them and will let everyone do their work. The night creatures agree, then go off to work. Dark tells Owen they will now go see how each night being does their job. They go with Sleep, who visits people struggling to sleep to help them. He uses a magical pillow, placing it on someone's face, and the person falls asleep. He then uses a magical handkerchief on a woman, making her sleep too. When he goes to a baby and takes out a magic sleep hammer, Owen gets upset, calling him out that what he's doing is wrong. Sleep gets annoyed at Owen, asking him not to interfere so he can work. Then Dark and Owen go to Insomnia, who visits people about to sleep and reminds them of bad memories to keep them awake. They then visit Silence, who enters noisy places and absorbs all sounds. But Owen speaks, breaking the silence, which annoys Silence. He asks Dark to take Owen away. After that, Dark and Owen go to see Sweet Dreams. She is inside the dream of a woman who is very scared because she has a presentation at work tomorrow. Dark and Owen enter the dream, watching as Sweet Dreams encourages the woman that she'll succeed, get promoted, and make her daughter proud. At that moment, Owen tells Dark about his own school presentation, saying he once dreamed he was in a dentist's office. As soon as he says this, the dream transforms into a dentist's office. Owen realizes that whatever he imagines inside the dream becomes real. He then admits to Dark that he fears many things, including his bully Richie, whom he constantly thinks about. Suddenly, the dream turns into a nightmare, and Richie appears, huge and terrifying. He locks Dark and Sweet Dreams inside a closet and chases Owen to harm him. Dark calls out to Owen, telling him he must think of something to save himself. Owen remembers his imagination about the flooded school bathroom. Suddenly, a bathroom appears, flooding Richie away. Then a giant door opens, trying to pull Owen in. Sweet Dreams warns that if Owen dies in the dream, he'll also die in reality. At the last moment, Dark frees himself, rushes to save Owen, and they all escape the dream. Sweet Dreams scolds Owen, saying he almost disrupted everything. Owen feels guilty, saying he'll never overcome his fears. Dark comforts him, saying he's already improved because at least he no longer fears Dark himself, and that his imagination in the dream shows he's brilliant and creative. Owen feels happy at the compliment, starts helping Dark and the night beings with their work, and after they finish, they prepare to rest. Suddenly, daylight approaches, lighting nearby places. Dark warns Owen that daylight is his greatest enemy, and if he stands still when daylight reaches him, he'll vanish forever. They all flee before daylight catches them. In a dark place, Owen tells the night creatures that although he likes dark, he still fears the dark and prefers daylight, where he feels safe and warm. Dark overhears this and feels very sad. Because of Owen's words, the night creatures start believing they could do their work in daylight instead, as it would be easier. They turn against Dark, saying they are tired of him and no longer want to work with him. Dark begs them, reminding them they are a team and must stay together to keep balance, but they refuse. Heartbroken, Dark leaves alone. Owen follows him, trying to reconcile, telling him he didn't mean it and that he loves him. But Dark says Owen was right. No one likes him, everyone fears him, and now even his friends abandoned him. While they talk, daylight approaches. Owen shouts for Dark to move, but Dark, too hopeless, refuses. Daylight passes over him, making Dark vanish, and darkness disappears forever. At this moment, we discover that this whole story is being told by grown-up Owen to his daughter Habesh, who has the same childhood fears he once had. We learn that Owen grew up, got married, and had his daughter Habesh, while working as the director of the observatory. Habesh asks him what happened to Dark afterward, but Owen says he doesn't know because he never saw him again. Habesh complains it's a sad ending and asks to change the story to make it happy. She then enters the story herself, appearing to young Owen, telling him she is his daughter from the future and has come to help him bring Dark back. They discover the world is now stuck in endless daylight, causing chaos, constant traffic, people fighting, and no one able to sleep. The night creatures return to Owen, admitting they now realize Dark's value and want to help bring him back. But Owen says he doesn't know how. Habesh tells him Dark still lives in his imagination and dreams. She asks Sleep to put Owen into deep sleep and Sweet Dreams to take them inside his dream, to the day he first met Dark. Inside the dream, Owen faces his fears again with Habesh and Sweet Dreams helping him, until he meets Dark once more. Dark is overjoyed that Owen remembered him and returned. Suddenly, a closet opens into a vortex, sucking Dark and Owen's fears inside.
Sweet Dreams says the only solution is for Owen to overcome his fears. Habesh urges Owen, saying if he fails, Dark will vanish forever. Owen gathers courage, grabs Dark, and they both hold on to a rope. The rope starts tearing, but Dark clings to Owen, jumping to another piece. Sweet Dreams leaves the dream, warning the other creatures that if Owen dies in the dream, he'll die in reality. They all try to wake him up, but he won't. Finally, Silence whispers to him that if he stays asleep, he'll miss his trip and never see Sally again. Owen wakes instantly, saving Dark from the vortex. Dark is happy to be alive again. He takes Owen and Habesh home, then sadly says goodbye, leaving. Habesh remains stuck in the past, and Owen doesn't know how to send her back. Suddenly, a boy named Tico appears, saying he's from the future and came with his time machine to return Habesh. He activates the machine, takes Habesh back, and leaves Owen.
Years later, we see Tico, now grown, telling his mother Habesh that he once saved her as a child with his time machine. She tells him that together they both overcame their fears. She leaves him to sleep, goes to her father Owen, now an old man, who asks about his grandson Tico. Habesh tells him that Tico finally gave their story a happy ending by building the time machine and restoring everything. Owen smiles, saying their stories never truly end. The story then returns to young Owen, who finally goes on the observatory trip, overcomes his fear, and confesses his love to Sally. Finally, we return to the present, where Owen and his wife Sally sit together watching the stars. Owen remembers the journey he had with Dark, the one that helped him overcome all his fears.